Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Washington Dialogue. Today we have with us a prominent Uzbek journalist, Navbahor Imamova, and we'll talk to her about what's happening in the region. We did talk to you about the Uzbek militants in our last segment that we had with you, and basically you gave us some details about how they became so zealot, so rigid and extremist, and what you have. Tell me, what was their reaction to some of the steps that were taken inside Uzbekistan? Would they have a chance to? First of all, let me ask you an Urdu question. Kya haal hai?
Ajiyun.
I think that's the end of your Urdu right there. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Well, the very existence of the Uzbek militants very much based on the fact that that they can recruit people from Uzbekistan, from the neighboring countries. You have to have people following you to be a movement. Of course, yes.
The recruitment is going on.
Okay. Right now they have about 20 years of history, and the origins are the origins go back to issues like unemployment, lack of opportunities, violation of human rights in the region. You have 5 countries in Uzbekistan; none of them are considered to be free. Uzbekistan being the largest society, it has major problems with its own human rights record. It's constantly criticized by international organizations. Recently, even U.S. Human Rights Report again, criticized Uzbekistan as being one of the worst violators of human rights. So you have a lot of issues in the country, and those very important problems, very important issues, might be serving, as experts say, as factors that are pushing the young people into the arms of extremist terrorists, where people can't express themselves, and the only venue for them is to go join the ranks of these militant groups. But there are a lot of things.
Any efforts in the region, especially in Uzbekistan, to basically understand and realize why this phenomenon is happening, and how can the other governments in the region, as well as the United States, can help to stop this this trend, this recruitment?
Pretty much every expert, every person, every intellectual I talk to in the region tells me that the main reason that these people are in the ranks of these militants is that it goes back to the lack of freedom and to the lack of opportunities. And that's the position that U.S. has held for a very long time. And of course, the governments refuse that. They deny it. They say that the societies are rapidly developing and there is freedom.
They don't see a blowback to the the Uzbek situation itself, because they don't see any reaction. Whatever is happening in Afghanistan, all these Uzbek nationals, because they're just leaving the country. So do you think it's because it's none of their concern? They think, okay, it's okay. They're not bothering us anymore. They're in Afghanistan, they're in Pakistan, so why bother?
Well, no.
Do you think this may be a factor?
No, governments would tell you, the authorities would tell you that they still pose a very, very serious threat, because the main mission of the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, which eventually ended up becoming Islamic movement of Turkestan, and there are so many other groups that are supposed to be their allies, and some of them are. This is a very disintegrated group of militants too, but their main mission is to overthrow the current constitutional systems there and to establish an Islamic caliphate. So they see them as the main opposition.
They don't use the Taliban term, the name Taliban with any of the movement in Uzbekistan?
Well, in late 90s and early 2000s, they did consider themselves to be a part of Taliban. But eventually, as the war raged in Afghanistan, once the U.S. went in and the Taliban rule ended, they were of course pushed toward the Afghan-Pakistani border, and we also know of so many conflicts within Taliban, within the ranks of these militants. Experts tell me that Uzbek militants tend to be very ideological. They are also supposed to be very well trained, very well educated, because of their Soviet backgrounds. And the leaders of the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan were the former Soviet soldiers who fought in Afghanistan.
So they're more associated with Al-Qaeda or Taliban?
I think
ideologically speaking.
Well, experts like Ahmad Rashid, who you know has written so extensively on this, would tell you that they consider themselves to be a pretty unique and an exclusive group.
An
But they, of
entity in
course,
itself.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
But I think in the bigger picture, they do consider themselves as allies to this bigger war against the West, against the secular governments. But there are so many things, Faiz, that we don't know about these militants.
I mean,
your best sources about them are the Pakistani military, and when you are in the region, the governments. You have no other way to confirm any kind of information.
What you have read so far, and of course, you know, you speak with a lot of people in the region itself, their ethnic mix. I mean, you know, we have the Northern Alliance in Afghanistan, and then we have Pashtun-speaking, you know, militants who are more associated and inclined toward Pakistan. So, how do you see these Uzbek fighters being inclined to? I mean, are they more associated and interested in the Northern Alliance movement or in the Pashtun? What's your idea?
I think it's been a matter of survival for them for a few years now, because they're, you know, as we said earlier, they're supposedly based in Waziristan, and the locals don't like them. So we have numerous reports where they have gotten into conflicts with them, and also the militants from Central Asia are sort of considered to be mercenaries. In that area, they don't get along well with other militants. They Haqqanis with their partners, and after a while time,
into the local tribes, they have local children.
Yes. So there, I mean, I believe that there are Uzbek villages in Afghan, Pakistan border areas, but the experts who have done research, of course, and also our best sources are local journalists there. They have told us that they don't get along with the locals. But for them, it's either to be there or nowhere. But Ahmad Rashid tells us that there is also very active traffic between Central Asia and, you know, and South Asia, where they have their own secret path. They go back and forth. And they continue to hire people, to recruit people.
Interesting discussion, but sorry, we have to stop here, out of time. Well, you heard this discussion, and it's a very complex issue. We can't just circumvent the whole issue and understand all the aspects, all the factors which is basically involved in this very complex conflict. Stay tuned. We'll probably discuss more you know, issues with some of your fellows and other journalists. And please do offer your comments at our website or send us an email. For sending an email is wd@voanews.com. WD, like for Washington Dialogue, @voanews.com. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it.